Hello friends, it's me, Shin, and today I'm coming to you from the Orleans here in Las Vegas where we're checking out Big Al's Oyster Bar. Super happy to have you along, let's head inside. Alright everyone, and here we are seated at Big Al's Oyster Bar. I was told Big Al's was recently renovated, so it's got a very modern and fresh look in here. I definitely like the vibe. You have an open air kitchen, full visibility into what they're doing here. I really like that. And a well-lit space definitely provides a great atmosphere. I very much like it here. Now while I certainly enjoy the vibes, it's all about the food for me, so let's take a look at what they have to eat on the menu. Alrighty, and here is your menu at Big Al's Oyster Bar. Let's take a closer look. Here are your shareables or your appetizers here. We've got some hush puppies, lobster mac and cheese, clams and mussels, oysters. Yeah, this all looks really good. You've got a raw bar here, shrimp cocktail, oysters, crab legs, and the like. We have some chowders, seafood, Boston clam, and a Manhattan clam. And you have some salads here as well. Taking a look at your entrees, we have, jambalaya sounds really good today. Got a cioppino here. Ooh, a lobster roll. This all looks really good. And you have the chef's specialty, the pan roast. Yeah, that looks fantastic. Two options for dessert here, a Nilla pudding as well as an apple pie. And for all of you looking to get your drink on, here are your cocktails, wines, as well as your beer options. And there's your menu here at Big Al's Oyster Bar. A really great looking menu here at Big Al's Oyster Bar. I'm super excited for this one to try a lot of food because you know how it goes in my videos. Every restaurant is a buffet if you're willing to pay. So we're gonna get a nice variety and together we'll see what this place is all about. Appetizers are coming up first. I'll see you in a little bit when they arrive. Actually, scratch that. They just brought us a bread basket with two different types of bread inside. So we're gonna try these out as we wait for those appetizers. Let's give it a go. Looks like we have something like a very thin toasted cracker as well as some airy bread here. We'll try this little toasty pita bread first. Yeah, you know what, that's fine. More or less tastes like a saltine cracker here. While it does have a nice crisp, unfortunately it's very dry. You're certainly gonna be reaching for your beverage after this one. Not a ton of flavor to this. Similar to a saltine cracker, you're just gonna get a little bit of salinity. You do get a bit of nuttiness from the sesame seeds here, but not a ton of flavor imparted by this particular bread. I think it's just okay. We'll go ahead and apply some butter to this and see how this helps. Yeah, you know, not bad. The butter certainly provides an additional level of saltiness as well as some richness to the bite, and it helps out a little bit with the dry factor as well. However, it really is, at the end of the day, it's kind of like biting into a saltine cracker, but if that's your thing, this is pretty good. Next up, we'll go in and try the standard bread loaf. Let's see how it is. Yeah, that's fine. I'd say a pretty middle-of-the-road tasting bread here. While not superbly flavorful, you certainly get a little bit of the Maillard reaction on the outside of this bread. The crust actually does have an element of crisp to it. Not too much though, I would still consider it very soft, just a slightly different texture from that on the inside. The bread is airy, has a pretty decent flavor. I don't really have any serious complaints about this bread. I think it's just fine. And we'll go ahead and apply some butter here. And we'll give this a go. Oh yeah, very good. I'm a huge fan of bread and butter. That additional rich flavor works so well when it comes to a carb like this. It really allows you to appreciate the more mild and subtle flavors of the bread while still making it very enjoyable. No complaints, this is solid bread and butter. All right, so that's the bread. Now I'll see you in a little bit when those appetizers arrive. And welcome back everyone. Our appetizers just got here and this is looking great. Let me give you a view. We got an order of hush puppies as well as their crab cakes, some of their andouille sausage bites, and their lobster mac and cheese. You wouldn't believe the smell coming off of this. Super excited, let's give it a try. First up, we're doing the crab cake. Covered in some kind of an orange sauce, but there's also a cream sauce underneath. And I've got a nice section on my fork here. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, you know what, not bad. A great fry job to this particular crab cake. A delightfully crispy exterior is very enjoyable here. This orange cream sauce is slightly spicy, although very approachable, and a little bit smoky in flavor as well. I want to say it's a very well-seasoned sauce. While you do get a decent amount of sweetness from the crab inside, I do think there's a fair amount of filler here. Some breading mixed in the center here, along with some roasted vegetables, though that portion I really appreciate. The roasted peppers in here are actually providing a very nice caramelized sweetness to the bite. And I think this cream sauce underneath is actually very tasty as well. It's very savory, ultra creamy, although it is a tad on the saltier side. I think this might actually be a little bit of their chowder. It has a very similar flavor profile to something like a seafood stew or soup. It's not the best crab cake I've ever had, but it's not terrible, it's just fine. Now the crab cake is served alongside something like a side salad. Got a nice amount on the fork here, let's give this a try as well. Oh yeah, that's really good. Good quality spring mix here, tastes fresh to me. No real complaints when it comes to the produce. You have something along the lines of an Italian dressing or an Italian vinaigrette here. It has really great flavor, it's a little bit rich and oily, and if you actually mix the flavors along with this crab cake, they go together very well. A pretty good side salad served alongside those crab cakes. Next up, these are the andouille sausage bites. Looks like little puff pastries here that have been baked to a very nice golden brown. Let's see how these taste. Yeah, you know, not bad. I actually really like the puff pastry here. So flaky and buttery. It's actually a very nice vessel for this particular appetizer. Maybe a little bit oily on the hands, but it does have a really great texture. I am a fan of that puff pastry. I think the andouille sausage inside is okay. It's very smoky, and it has a fair amount of heat to it as well. There's a decent amount of spice here coming from cayenne. I almost want to say it's a bit overpowering. You don't really taste too much of the meatiness of the sausage itself. It really does seem like a lot of just savory heat. But I actually do really like the puff pastry portion of this, so in general, it's not too bad. We'll go in and dip it into this pink looking glaze here. And we'll see how this is. Very interesting. You're basically looking at a very Asian sweet chili sauce here. Certainly just a little bit of spice, a nice amount of sweetness coming from the sugar, a little bit of garlic in there as well. It's a good chili sauce, I just don't know if it works all that well with these andouille sausage bites. I guess in my brain I'm expecting something more of a Cajun flair, something a little bit more southern tasting, and to introduce something much more Asian in nature like the sweet chili sauce, it's not balancing all that well for me. I think the flavor comes in ways where you effectively taste the chili sauce and then you end on the notes of that andouille sausage by itself. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of this particular appetizer, I think it's just okay. Next up, we're trying the hush puppies. Feels ultra crispy in my hands. Let's see how these are. Okay, those are actually very good. Certainly one of the better textures I've had with hush puppies in my life. Ultra crispy on the outside, and a nice dense cornmeal on the inside. A slightly sweet, earthy flavor coming from this cornmeal. It's very good. It's been incredibly well seasoned. Not only are the salt and pepper levels here fantastic, there's also hints of garlic and a little bit of bite coming from what I want to say is the flavor of green onion. These are actually very addictive. I'm liking these a lot. And we'll go and try dipping it into the accompanying sauce here. Let's see how this is. Oh yeah, that's very tasty. This is something like a jalapeno crema, providing a little bit of heat, as well as a creamy, rich factor to these hush puppies. And while providing that extra dimension of creamy, cool, as well as a little bit of heat, all coming together very well. I'm a fan, I actually really like this appetizer. All right, everyone, now the last bite I'm trying from this appetizer round is gonna be the lobster mac and cheese. Get a nice piping hot bowl here, and I've got a little bit of lobster on my spoon. Let's see how it is. Yeah, you know what, that's not bad. Unfortunately, the texture of the noodles here are incredibly soft, a little bit softer than I would prefer my mac and cheese noodles to be. Though I don't necessarily need it fully al dente, a little bit more of a chew to that would be appreciated. I did get the natural sweetness of the lobster in that bite. That was very good. However, there's not a lot of lobster in this particular bowl of mac and cheese. I'd say the majority is just mac and cheese. That said, the cheese sauce is incredibly rich and very flavorful, and it's incredibly creamy, coating all of these noodles very well. The bites that you get some of the toasted breadcrumbs on top provide a little bit of additional texture. Honestly, not bad at all. I think just a little bit more of a firm noodle and some more lobster in this dish, and I would really like it. All right, everyone, now that's all the appetizers I'm trying today. My buddy and I are going to continue working on this, and then we'll go in on our first round of entrees. Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. welcome back, my friends. Our first round of entrees just got here, and this is looking great. Let me give you a view. We got the crawfish tasso and andouille sausage gumbo, as well as some garlic butter mixed seafood scampi and a lobster roll. This is all looking really great. Let's give it a try. First up, we're trying the gumbo. Now, this is a crawfish tasso and andouille sausage gumbo, served with some rice, and I've got a nice spoonful here. Let's give it a shot. Oh yeah, that's actually really good. An incredibly savory gumbo gravy here. While it's not super thick, I wouldn't exactly call it watery either. It does have a nice viscous consistency. The rice provides such a great chew in the middle of the bite, making the way for a lot of the additional flavors. I didn't have any crawfish in that particular spoonful, but I did have a nice amount of the andouille sausage as well as the tasso pork. And where I thought the andouille sausage wasn't all that great on its own in that appetizer, it's working very well in this particular gumbo. The smoky flavors of that andouille sausage complement the savory nature of the gumbo very well, and that tasso pork is providing an additional layer of richness as well as some saltiness. It's very enjoyable to eat. While I wouldn't particularly call it spicy, there's certainly some heat to this particular gumbo, and that heat lingers as an aftertaste. You might even perspire a bead or two of sweat here. In general, it's actually very good. I think just a little bit thicker of a gravy, and this would be really great for me. Next up, we're doing the garlic butter scampi. You have your choice of proteins in this between lobster, shrimp, clams, or a mixed seafood. I thought the mixed seafood sounded the best today. And I've got a nice chunk of lobster here on the fork. Let's see how it is. Oh yeah, that's actually very tasty. A much more firm noodle with the scampi than I had with the lobster mac and cheese earlier. I certainly appreciate the texture more. The garlic butter sauce is incredibly rich, very creamy, and they're certainly doing justice to the names garlic and butter. You taste a lot of that here. You get a little bit of additional brightness coming from the sun-dried tomatoes, but it's actually the crisp, clean flavors of the white wine reduction in the middle of the bite that's actually the most delicious here. While the alcohol has been cooked out, you certainly get that nice little bit of bite from that white wine in the middle of your pasta here, and it's a very enjoyable flavor. I like that a lot. I did have a nice chunk of lobster on the fork. It was very succulent and plump, although I can't say I tasted a lot of its sweet flavors. I think it's been cooked out into the sauce. All in all, not bad though. I actually do like the garlic butter scampi here. All right, everyone, now the last entree to try from this first round is gonna be the lobster roll. A very toasty bread here, although I wouldn't exactly call this stuffed. Feels a little bit light on this lobster salad. But then again, it's all about the flavors. Let's see how this tastes. Unfortunately, I'm not a huge fan of that one. Not too many issues when it comes to the bread here. It has a nice toast to it, a little bit flaky in the center, overall decent textures, and imparts a bit of a sweet bready flavor. Unfortunately, I'm just not the biggest fan of this particular lobster salad. First off, there's just not a lot of lobster in here. I don't even know if I had any in my bite. I think it was mostly just salad and vegetables. There is a bit of a natural sweetness coming from the cut up apples in here that I actually appreciate. The bright flavors of the apples certainly freshen up the bite, but it's not providing much reprieve from anything because you're supposed to be tasting that lobster first. Now it is very rich and creamy. They've used an appropriate amount of mayonnaise here, and there's a little bit of bite coming from the chives as well as a little bit of freshness coming from the dill here. The lobster salad is well seasoned. I wouldn't say it's bland by any means, but I don't know if I would necessarily call this a lobster salad. I think it's probably closer to an apple and celery salad. Not my favorite lobster roll in the world. I think I'd probably skip on this one. And lastly, we'll try the accompanying potato chip. Very nice crispy chip here, and it feels like it's been made in-house. Let's see how it is. Oh yeah, that's fine. Very run-of-the-mill standard potato chip here. Great crisp, not stale, a very straightforward seasoning. I think it's just salt, but that's typically all a good potato chip needs. I don't have any serious complaints. These are fine potato chips. All right, my friends, now that's the first round of entrees I'm trying today. My buddy and I are going to continue working on this, and then we'll box up a lot of it to go because we've got another round of food coming. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. And welcome back, everyone. Our last round of entrees are here, and this is looking great. Let me give you a view. I had to get the chef's specialty pan roast. This is the mixed seafood version. I also got their Muffaletta sandwich as well as their crab stuffed shrimp. I'm definitely starting to get pretty full here, but this is looking so good. I can't wait to give it a try. Let's go in. Alrighty, first up we're going in on the chef's specialty. This is the mixed seafood pan roast. This is lobster, shrimp, and a beautiful looking gravy. Also served alongside with some rice. I've got a nice spoonful here. Let's see how this is. Oh yeah, that's actually very tasty. This pan roast gravy is incredibly flavorful. A nice salty brininess up front gives way to a beautiful natural sweetness of the tomato in a very thick and creamy gravy. It's incredibly well seasoned, not bland by any means, so much flavor here. When you taste just the gravy by itself, you can actually get essence of lobster as well as other seafood in here. It's actually very, very good. I'm enjoying this a lot. The rice is serving a proper function here, providing just a little bit of additional texture chew, as well as carrying the additional flavors of this pan roast. That's what I love about rice in a dish like this. Because of its neutral flavors, it's able to prolong how much time you get to enjoy those flavors on your palate. This giant piece of lobster that I had in my bite was very succulent, and I could taste the lobster here much more than I did in that garlic butter scampi previously. I think the approachable amount of heat in this particular dish allows you to actually taste the flavors of that lobster a little bit more. And as I'm going in on the shrimp, it's the same there as well. I don't actually have any serious complaints. This is a very good seafood pan roast. Okie doke, next up we're doing the crab stuffed shrimp. Not only is this colossal shrimp stuffed with crab, but it's also wrapped in bacon. I imagine this is gonna be a pretty flavorful bite. Let's see how it is. You know, I'd say that's just okay. Right up front, you get the salty, smoky flavors of the bacon here. It has a little bit of a softer texture, but it's also well done. Very interesting that it's not as crispy as I believed it was gonna be. But unfortunately, that's where a lot of the flavors end. Toward the middle of the bite, I maybe got a little bit of the succulent flavors of the shrimp. And truth be told, I don't taste too much of that crab stuffing. It really is just kind of bacon up front, maybe a little bit of shrimp in the middle, and then bacon on the way out. Unfortunately, the flavors aren't all that well balanced for me. I feel like I'm just eating some bacon. Now, we've already tried the salad when it came to the crab cake, so the other accompanying dish with the shrimp is gonna be this rice. A little bit more yellow in color than their standard rice that they've served with the other dishes. Let's see how this is. Yeah, you know what, that rice is actually quite good. This is more or less their take on dirty rice, although there's not any kind of protein in here, but the rice does have a nice firm texture to it, and the seasoning and flavors here are fantastic. You get a lot of the flavors you're kind of expecting here. A little bit of oregano, parsley, and thyme. I even taste a little bit of the bay leaves. Just a hint of garlic, and I imagine this rice was actually cooked in some kind of a chicken broth because there is a certain savory salinity to it. A good Creole rice here, I like that one. All right, my friends, now the last bite I'm trying today is going to be the Muffaletta sandwich. This particular sandwich is served alongside the potato chips as well as that same salad, so this is the last new thing that I'm trying today. Looks very much like an Italian cold cut, but I heard the sandwich has its roots in Louisiana. Let's go and give it a try. Yeah, you know what, that's pretty good. Very tasty and salty meats here. You've got capicola, mortadella, and salami. All really great cold cuts that I enjoy, and they're certainly working well in the sandwich. Very meaty and satisfying to eat. They certainly didn't skimp on the amount of meat they put in between these two pieces of bread. There's also an olive relish in here that provides a bit of a briny flavor, actually upping that salt level quite a bit. Those flavors first appear in the middle of the bite and ride with you to the very end. Though I can't say I taste the provolone cheese too much, you definitely get a little bit of that rich factor as you're chewing through the sandwich. Honestly, everything between the two pieces of bread I'm actually quite a fan of. Now that said, unfortunately, I'm not the biggest fan of this particular sandwich bread. It's very dense. Now, I've never had a Muffaletta sandwich before, so I'm not sure if this is the recipe that it calls for, but personally, I prefer much softer sandwich loaves, or at the very least, an airier center if it has that outer crisp. Not a bad sandwich at all, though, it's still pretty good. All right, my friends, now that's all of the food I'm trying today. I am absolutely stuffed, so I think we're gonna get a lot of boxes and start getting this to go. It's gonna be some dessert up next. Don't go anywhere because sweets are coming up. And welcome back, my friends. My dessert just got here. This is looking great. Let me give you a view. This is their apple pie a la mode, served alongside with that nice scoop of ice cream. This is looking pretty good. Let's give it a try. Oh yeah, it's very tasty. Now this is very akin to one of those prepackaged apple pies I felt like I had in elementary school. It looks like it has a similar frosting on the outside, and it has a very similar cakey texture to that pie crust. The apples inside are certainly sweet, with a nice amount of cinnamon in there as well. And you do get a nice nuttiness coming from the walnuts here. And such a smooth, creamy vanilla ice cream is providing a very nice richness to the overall dessert as well. Now, if I had to bet money on it, I'm pretty sure this is one of those prepackaged apple pies. But something has been transformed here, whether they fried it a little bit more, but it does have a slightly deeper flavor than the one you're used to from a package. I do really like the caramel sauce here, providing a little bit of that additional nutty sweetness. I mean, I don't have any serious complaints about this dessert, but I'm not sure if it's super authentic. All right, everyone, now that does it for my dinner here at Big Al's Oyster Bar at the Orleans, Las Vegas. Dinner for me and my buddy came out to $264 today before tip, and we certainly had some enjoyable dishes today. I actually really liked the hush puppies from our appetizer round. The mixed seafood scampi was quite good, and I was a huge fan of that pan roast also. But in general, you've got some really good flavors here at Big Al's Oyster Bar in a very nice setting. I do like it here. Now that's gonna do it for the Saturday video where we're checking out a very touristy location here in Las Vegas. Coming Tuesday, we're gonna be exploring a more local eatery somewhere here in the Valley. Make sure you come back for that one. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great week, and I hope you enjoy Vegas with me, Shin. Bye.